Welcome back to the Kelowna Real Estate Podcast. I'm your mortgage broker host, Taylor Atkinson.
And I'm your real estate agent host, Matt Glenn. What's happening today, Taylor?
Man, we had Scott Butler on from Highstreet. Awesome guest.
Awesome developer.
Yeah, great developer in town. So Highstreet, you'll see a bunch of their projects around BC, Western Canada. I met with him for coffee a couple months ago. Great guy, super transparent, very authentic, like pretty down to earth. And that's kind of what this show was. You ask him questions and he just says it how it is. So yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, and he has systems and using them to full effect to keep the prices down, to keep the product high. Like in my industry, obviously talking realtor to realtor and buyers, you kind of start to feel for reputations that certain buildings have and how builders are looked at. And I have to say, Highstreet and Ascent specifically, people like them.
Yeah.
I've heard nothing but good things about it. And it's listening to Scott on the podcast and talking to him, you kind of understand why it has such a good reputation.
Yeah. So Ascent is kind of Upper Mission area near the new Save-On. Really cool location. They've just finished phase 2, I believe, working on phase 3. Still have 50 units to sell. Some really cool stuff they're doing there to promote it is they've doubled the warranty.
Yeah. Instead of a 2-5-10, it's a 4-10-20 warranty.
Which is crazy for somebody to have that much confidence in their own product. They're step code 4, so super efficient buildings. Obviously, that's great for the environment, but reduces, homeowner operations.
Does that help with financing? That it's going to cost less for utilities at all? Or?
No, every lender kind of has per square footage. This is just what we use for guidelines.
Okay. Yeah. That's because they haven't done enough Scott Butler properties.
Yeah, but for financing, if it is an insured mortgage, you would get 25% of your CMHC insurance premium back because it meets step code requirement. So, if someone's buying it as owner occupied with less than 20% down, they get a big chunk of money back.
Do they give that to you in a cash or a credit towards your mortgage? Cash?
Oh, cash. Yeah. You apply for it and they send you a check a couple months later. Yeah. Which is wild. So basically you're financing the CMHC and then you're getting that rebate in cash.
Crazy.
So, bit of a loophole. He's doing a price guarantee, which is wild.
That's crazy. The price guarantee is crazy. And he is confident about it.
If you buy now and in 5 years it's less than the value it is now, he's going to give you the money back of I think
there's more specific, right? It's up to 5%, or if it goes down more than 5%, he'll cut you a check for the difference or something. Got to look at the details, but either way, he is very confident in that. And after you talk to him, you kind of understand why.
There's just very little risk to buy in that complex. And they're just great units and price starting at $284, I think.
Yeah. So I think they're pretty, I don't have the price list in front of me. I think they're pretty competitively priced. And like I said, they have a great reputation. Matt, we sound like an infomercial right now. He's not paying us. I swear. We just
I know. Yeah, actually, he should be. Scott, send us a check.
Scott should be paying us, but no, he is not. This is just our honest opinion about what we've heard and how we're experiencing. And after talking to Scott, it's the real thing.
We just get excited about good projects. There's a ton of empty units being sold around Kelowna, obviously. So buyers are in the seat. But I think this is just good location, good price. Good end user product and good developer. So enjoy the show. Just at least this way you get to know kind of the guy with the vision behind what he's building. So
yeah. All right, guys. This show, like every show, sponsored by Century 21 Assurance Realty. We're here. We're there. We're everywhere. Where are we, Taylor? We're in East. We're in East Kootenays, like Creston. We're in West Kootenays, Castlegar. We're in Salmon Arm, Kamloops, Vernon, Kelowna, West Kelowna. We are pretty much most places in the interior BC. So if you are looking for a realtor to buy or sell your house, or property manager to manage your properties, or if you're an agent looking for a brokerage to hang your hat at, Century 21 Assurance Realty is probably the place to call. I'm there. I love it. So that's the place. Enjoy the show, you guys. It's a good one.
Okay. Scott Butler, welcome to the show. It's taken me a while to pressure you to come on here. Basically, I had to get Chris Grout to foul you at basketball too many times to force you this way. But welcome to the show. How's it going?
Well, I don't know if Chris ever fouls me. It's probably the other way around.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's good or bad. I guess we'll find out.
Well, Taylor and I only hang in the best circles, so it's got to be a good thing.
Yeah. Well, if you can tell us just a little bit about you, your company, where you came from, just kind of the elevator pitch, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, for sure. Grew up in Victoria, so kind of a BC boy, born and raised, and I grew up around construction. My parents had a construction company. And for some reason, since I remember this in grade 4, I decided I wanted to own a business. And I think that's a pretty weird thing in grade 4 looking back on it. But I decided that's what I was going to do. So I kind of set my life up to go towards that. And I even took accounting courses because somebody told me I should if I was going to own a business, and did that for a fair amount. While I was going to university at UVic, I took an entrepreneurship specialty in commerce and was taking accounting courses on the side at Camosun. When I was done university, I didn't know what the heck I was going to do because I had this idea I was going to start a business. You know, I was completely broke, and I was like, how does somebody start a business? And I still didn't know.
Most people still don't know. Great
Yeah,
question.
I mean, it was like some weird. Anyway, so I ended up moving to Calgary. I landed a job at WestJet, had a great experience there, saw kind of 4 entrepreneurs running this airline. That it was a great experience. They had no background running an airline, and 4 of them decided to do it. So that was awesome. I got to know Don Bell really well there. I met my wife there, which is the best thing that ever happened. So
Nice.
that was awesome. So kind of went through the mid-20s with a lot of big things happening, bought our first house and all that. And then I was nearing 30, and I was worried that if I don't start now and we start having kids, I'll never take the risk and start a business. So left WestJet and left Calgary at the end of 2004, and then started evaluating what to do. And I had this big list, and yeah, just kind of really liked the idea of creating something from nothing. Having grown up in construction, had that background, but I really liked the idea of developing real estate. And I was always into real estate. I was always picking up all the real estate magazines, looking at all that. And then, I figured I could start doing something like that. And just so happened my dad with a business partner had a piece of land in Courtenay on Vancouver Island that they couldn't get rid of for like 10 years, which I really found out why after. It's a nightmare. But being green and not knowing, got into it. And the first project we dealt with a ton of hurdles and eventually got going. And our first one was Condos on Vancouver Island. So that started the ball rolling and kind of went from there.
And so your company's Highstreet. So you guys primarily do, stratified condos for resale, right? You do some purpose-built rentals as well, but is that the main objective?
No, not really. We started out, I guess our first project was a condo. We did a hotel right after that, tried that out, got caught in the pit of the downturn in '08, and then really focused on rentals coming out of that. So after 2008, big focus on rentals, and we did a lot of rental apartments around Alberta. Went up to Yellowknife. We ended up selling condos in Yellowknife, 2011, 2012 timeframe. And we were just willing to go anywhere to make anything work. It was kind of that back against the wall, and started a business and didn't want to see it fail. So we were going anywhere. But yeah, most of our history is rental apartments. So we've built about 6,000 homes, and I don't know the current total, but off the top of my head, I bet there's probably 1,400 or 1,500 condos in there. So
nice.
Still the majority being rental, for sure. And
so I guess the main question, like why I originally reached out to you, which honestly was probably 2 years ago, and you just ignored me forever, but I'm persistent, was like, how do you stay profitable, right? Like in this current environment, climate, like everyone is kind of the woe is me, it's the government's against us. There's truth behind that. Like it's not wrong. However, there are still people like yourself that are successfully putting out a good end product. And, I'm not going to say like making money, but like obviously you're still surviving, thriving in the current state. You're still putting out like a good product. And one of the things that like made me even more interested to talk to you was there was a LinkedIn post and somebody threw out something about, per square footage, it just does not work. And, we should go modular homes. And you were so analytical in your response. It was like, hey, this is how we do it. We have this system in place and like our timelines are always met. So I guess the question is like, what's the secret sauce? How do you produce product that is good for the end consumer? And I don't want to say like affordable, but housing is a need in BC, and you're providing a need that people can actually, move into at a price that, I'll say affordable is affordable to them,
Yeah, for sure. Market affordable. Anyway, there's a lot of meat to chew on that bone there. First of all, sorry that you felt ignored for, I don't think it was 2 years. I mean, come on,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
an exaggeration. But, I was like, what am I going to do on a podcast? So I'm finding
I
out
love that he asked you 2 years
now.
ago how you stayed profitable, and then you waited 2 years where it just gets harder and harder, and now you're going to answer the
For
question.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, the big answer to that, there's a long answer that would take a half an hour. So I'm trying to figure out, like, how do I summarize? I mean, I think fundamentally it starts with our vision that we want everyone in Highstreet's community to recommend their friends to work with us, live with us, and invest with us. And what does that mean? It means we start with the focus on the people. So you want to create a great environment for people to work in. That involves everybody. I mean, I think that's not just the high streeters, that's trades we work with and everybody else. So we've been focused on that for a long time. We met relative success through the years without being totally awesome at construction. We didn't even start construction on our own until 2016. So until then, it was all working with my brother's company, Train, and now Train does their own development as well. So we started a construction company in 2016. We had an ambition to be nicer than everybody else and create a great environment, but we didn't know how. And it wasn't until 2022 we met a company out of Phoenix that was doing lean construction implementation. And so we got to know them in a hurry, started using them to change how we deliver projects using this kind of lean production system that they developed over the years, which was based on the Toyota production system. And as we adopted that, we found that, all of a sudden we're delivering every building on time based on the schedule we set out from when we started. More recently, we've started to deliver projects on or under budget. And that's all through a huge combination of the system, which really starts with respect for people and continuous improvement. Those are kind of the two main tenets of lean. You start there, but then there's a whole bunch of systems to go along with it, from just the transparency of it, see as a team, know as a team, act as a team. We talk about there's a tax schedule involved that gets into this complicated discussion around tack time and everything else. The whole idea is to create flow. So if you can create flow on the construction site, it flows for everybody. And then that makes the whole thing smooth, and you remove roadblocks ahead and you get the whole team engaged. And I mean, it's everything from morning huddles to the foreman meeting and having the right agenda. And there's a whole bunch of components to it. That's certainly our biggest cost driver when it comes to developing. And there's another component, though, too, that shouldn't be overlooked, is the design and the repeat design that we've been doing for the last few years, with a renewed focus on that a couple of years ago. So repeat design, an efficient design, and at the same time still spending money on areas that others may not, that people don't see. We talked about Step Code 4, and so we're the largest builder of Step Code 4 carbon-free buildings, we think, in Canada. I know that sounds like a big claim, but pretty sure. Anyway, so you think about all the people involvement. I mean, we could segue that into this whole discussion that I could go on for another 10 minutes about, the compensation philosophy and the involvement we have, our people who are investors, like our employees who are investors, our trades who are investors. We have a bonus program. We do matching on that to make sure they invest. How does that all wrap together into being efficient and doing the right thing? Like, we care and we're owners and we have a good system, right? Like, there's a lot to it.
Yeah, when we had coffee a while back there, one of the takeaways for me was you were like, it's a construction industry, but like the old story is, yeah, guys need to work overtime and work Saturday and work Sunday. And it's just this like, you're just grinding away, and then you don't really have much of a personal family life, mental health, anything. And so, I mean, that was such a big takeaway to me, is like, if you actually have authenticity around like supporting your employees so they can go home on time and pick up their kids and, do whatever is a priority to them, they're going to be happier. They're going to be more efficient. They're going to work, faster. And then the other part of that conversation, it was, probably funny to both of us as we were talking about it. But when you were trying to sign, I guess, the contract of like when you would complete on possession, you wanted to put a specific date, right? And the selling team, the listing agent, was like, well, we'll put like the winter, or we'll put the spring. So like, that is so cool, because no one's going to really put their money where their mouth is. Like developers don't, right? I financed one of your units, at one of the first units up there. a while back for a client. And that's when I first kind of saw step code and the home warranty. And I was like, wow, this is like a very well built product. And then in addition to all that, something cool that you ended up doing was you guys essentially run Strata now there, right?
Yeah.
You took that on. So can you tell us, I guess, why did you elect to do that? Because like running Strata sounds like an absolute nightmare, but yeah, here we are.
Yeah, it can be. Our team is probably not happy with me right now for wanting to do that. But the whole idea was that we wanted to really have both the product side and the service side taken care of for the buyer. So historically, what would happen is, you sell a condo and then the Strata council gets formed and a Strata manager is in charge. And the Strata manager comes from a place of historically adversarial relationships with developers. And so then rather than just talk to us if something was wrong, we've had this happen over the years where on condos we'd sold, and rather than just let us know what's going on so we can come and fix it, they get all worked up and then they get the Strata manager to write a letter, or they'll notify the home warranty board, and next thing you know, we're getting a letter from home warranty and we're like, what? This is the first we heard about it. Like, we'll just go fix it. What's the problem?
Yeah.
Like, just let us know. We'll go fix it. And so we thought removing that barrier so that things just get taken care of as soon as we hear about them would be great. And the second big part was also we wanted to create more community in the condo buildings we sold. So on the rental side, we have a big emphasis on creating community, putting on events, helping people get to know each other, figuring out, hey, if there's 6 people that live here that like playing chess, like maybe we can host a chess night, and then they'll come out and do that. And so we really wanted to give the condo buyers that same experience, because I think we, as a society, you get into an apartment building, and I lived in one when I was younger, and it was funny. You get in the elevator, nobody talks to each other, and it's kind of like everybody looks down, and I always found that weird. And I thought, well, what's the closer you get, the more people ignore each other. So I thought, well, how do we create community and make welcoming environments that people love living there, and they create friendships and they, create relationships that can last for a lifetime. And so we wanted to bring both of those things to the experience and really improve the customer service side of owning a condo. It's a really long-term thought around building the brand. It obviously doesn't help us in the near term, and it's not a financial reward at all. I mean, I think that's the funny thing.
You're subsidizing it at this point.
Yeah. We're not doing this to make money. Like, we're developing.
And at the end of the day, like Strata Council can still vote you out as the managers, right? Yeah. So it's not like they're stuck with you if you're not doing a good job.
I shouldn't say this, but I think the Ascent Council there's talk of them voting us out like already. And we're going like, why? Because they think there's a conflict of interest. And it's like,
right.
Conflict of interest, like, we're just trying to do the right thing here. And so it's super frustrating. And the vision and the reasons we're doing it, because there's a lack of trust with developers, they think that, we're cooking the books or something. It's like, man, for the Strata budget, like, come on. Why would we do a double warranty if we were trying to cook the books? Why would we do a retroactive price guarantee for everybody who's already bought if we're trying to skim a couple grand off the Strata fee? Like, what?
Okay, so this is something we need to talk about, is the
Definitely.
Price guarantee. Because I saw this, it was like a couple weeks ago. It piqued my interest. I'm like, oh my God, this is like insurance. But you're doing it retroactively for everyone that's purchased so far?
Yeah, we thought it was the only fair thing to do. Like, we didn't want to come out with this and then have everybody come after us with, oh, hey, what about my guarantee? So as soon as we started talking about it, I said, well, there's no way we can do this without making it retroactive.
And so how does this look? You buy a unit for $400,000 in 5 years, it goes down in price. You're going to give them money back?
Yeah, it's based on a citywide index. So it's based on the Real Pack. They send out a report every month. You can go to an online website. It's a well-known benchmark index. They get reported on once a month in the news media. And it's a benchmark of house prices in Kelowna. So it'll take all house prices. And the idea, when I say benchmark or an index, it'll take that same house and then, what it sold for a few years ago and then index it to what it sold for recently. So they have enough of a database so that it's actually same versus same. It's not like comparing, because, averages can skew, whereas a benchmark is going to compare same to same. So the idea is that it's got this whole kind of Kelowna area index. And we know what that index was in January. So January was the retroactive date for everybody who'd already bought. And yeah, if the index is 5% lower 5 years from now, we're cutting checks.
That is awesome. I mean, it just shows the confidence you have, well, in the product, but in the Kelowna market as well.
Yeah, it's really a Kelowna market bet, which I just know fundamentally, like, it's so hard to get the cost down. And so as long as there's growth, as long as there's more population here 5 years from now, which is a pretty safe bet, then the cost to build that isn't going to be, it can't be significantly lower. It's just so hard to get the cost down. We know. And so it's a bet that there's more population and that cost of delivering that home 5 years from now is more than likely going to be higher just because of inflation. It seems like a fairly safe bet. And if it turns out to be wrong, well, I guess that'll be nice. I'll be writing a lot of checks, but that's okay.
People will also love you either way. Like if their house goes up, they're like, awesome. If it goes down, they're like, oh my God, this guy's sending me money to live here. Like,
yeah. They have to live there too. It has to be the same person. So there'll be an element of people just move on and that's okay. So, it's not 100% bet on everybody. We know that not everybody stays in the same place for 5 years. So there's a bit of protection there. The idea was we knew that there was so much resistance in the market. People didn't know where the bottom was going to be. And if they're trying to time the market, well, here, let's take that fear away and get them off the fence. And it has resulted in quite a few sales since we did that. So I think it was a lot of people just kind of thinking about it and humming and hawing. And I don't know the exact number. I've just talked to our sales manager this morning, but I think at least 10 since we put out the price guarantee. So all of a sudden, it's a big uptick in volume there.
I mean, it's just such a good incentive. Like out of all the incentives we've seen over the last couple of years, this just seems to make sense.
Scott, you said something interesting, like it's not going to get cheaper to build. And can it ever get cheaper to build? Like when Taylor and I talk about this, it's like wages aren't coming down, materials not coming down. I don't really understand how it even is possible to come down to be cheaper to build in the future.
Well, you never say never. I mean, I think if you take a longer scope of history, the times when we've had decline in production prices, it'd be a massive recession. So I wouldn't wish that on anybody, but that is the one thing that could drive prices down. It's funny, real estate has a mild oversupply situation right now, and we see prices going down. But if you take any other industry, there can be massive adjustments. I think some industries are probably better able to handle those fluctuations, but ultimately, what's going to take wages to go down? A whole bunch of unemployment. And we don't want to see that. So you're kind of looking at it going, well, and I'm not even sure the governments are willing to let us have unemployment at a higher rate anymore. I mean, if you think about the last couple of downturns, I'm really on a rant here now, but all the governments learned in 2008 and in COVID was like, we can just print money. And so print money and nothing comes home to roost. Everything's fine. You ride through those downturns and increase the debt massively. And then when things are good again, you don't even have to go back to balanced budget. You just keep the debt high and nothing ever happens.
Yeah, I guess we'll see how long that goes.
Yeah, we'll see how long. Exactly.
Yeah, until when.
It doesn't happen until it happens. And I don't want to be around when that.
Especially not in 5 years from now when you're writing checks.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Well, maybe. I mean, with inflation, money would be worth much less then. So you'll be like...
Yeah, good point. Good point.
So I want to highlight, like for listeners, we obviously know where Ascent is and what the product is like, but it's Upper Mission. It's near the new Save On up there. You guys are still actively under construction. So, right, there are still units being finished.
Yeah, we're nearly there. We just got occupancy on the last building 2 weeks ago. So we're ready to move people into that last building now.
What's the home warranty on it too? It's super long, isn't it?
Yeah, we doubled the legislated warranty. So we're only currently selling the first two buildings. And the third and fourth building, we turned into rental. We just didn't want to fight the market. It was going so slow. So we still have about 50 condos left in the first two buildings out of 136. And yeah, the double warranty. So if the traditional warranty is 2, 5, 10, that's like 2 for mechanical, electrical systems, 5 for building envelope, and 10 for structural. We doubled that. And that's a Highstreet guarantee. So there's no requirement, there's no ability to get, a typical like new home warranty provider to give you that. That's a Highstreet guarantee over and above the legislative requirement, which is 2, 5, 10.
And then you have the guaranteed price. which we obviously spoke about. And then it's step code 4.
Yeah, step code 4 was the highest level of step code for a multifamily apartment building.
When we were chatting, I was like, yeah, it's amazing that it's step code 4. Originally, I was like, man, this guy loves the environment. But like, why step code 4? Like, why go above and beyond? You're selling a product that, is there much return on investment on the resale side, or just financially, like it just makes sense to do?
For sure. On the resale side, I don't think there's too much financial justification, but on the rental side, there is. And because we like to keep it simple, we're not going to change the design for the condo side than the rental side. That's what allows us to be efficient. And that was one of the things we didn't touch on earlier in terms of efficiency. Volume is a big deal. Like we currently have over 650 homes under construction. That's maybe a bit light for us. We're at a bit of a intermediate period. That'll be back over 800 soon. So when you're doing 800 a year, you can get some efficiency out of that.
I don't understand why you didn't have time to come on the podcast if you're only doing 800 homes a year.
Well, I'm not building it. I'm in an office. Everybody else is making it happen. No excuses there. Sorry. Okay, so look, I'm not out in a Zodiac going after oil tankers.
Throwing back granola.
Yeah, I'm not like a Greenpeace guy, but I've always thought, like since I was a kid, I was big into recycling. And when we built the hotel, I was asking questions. This is a long time ago. This was like when we were designing it in 2007, going, well, okay, so a mid-efficient hot water tank is $8,000. Well, what's the highest efficiency hot water tank we can get? And, they go, oh, you don't want to do that. Well, how much? Then come back, oh, it's like 9,200. Okay, well then let's get the highest efficiency one. What's the problem? Yeah. And so we did a bunch of stuff like that. We put in triple pane windows. We did a heat pump PTAC unit in the walls. So we were already thinking, kind of being conscious of energy usage at the time. And then I think over the years, we were doing more and more of it. We got to the point where we wanted to see if we could get a LEED certification. And we did that on one building and didn't want to do it again because there was so much BS involved in the paperwork. And we got Built Green Gold. And then we started to stack up these Built Green awards. And, well, what are we doing that for? And then the government came out with the step code. And we thought, well, let's see how far we are away from the highest level of step code. And this was back in, it was like 2018 or 2019. And one of the justifications always when building and holding rental apartments is like we get paid to save money on the operating cost of the apartment building. And that sounds funny, but when you sell an apartment building, you get paid based on the cash flow it produces. So if you spend $100,000 and it saves $8,000 a year, and you get paid basically at 20 times multiple on that cash flow, that 100,000 turns into 160. And 75% is finance. Who's not going to do that? It just seems like the dumbest thing not to do stuff that we're doing. So a lot of it just seemed completely obvious. I think that, using oil and gas for heating and cooling buildings is not necessary. Let's save it for a higher use. I'm not an anti-pipeline guy or anything like that. I think that the world is using energy and Alberta should provide it. I don't know if that's going to be controversial, so practical, but let's be realistic and let's do things that we can do that save energy and do things that make sense. And to me, it hasn't been that hard. Like I think we're maybe $15 a square foot more to get to step code 4. But, for all the other reasons we've talked about and more, our cost to build is quite efficient and we can do that. But that $15 a square foot pays for itself. It's not like we're just doing it because we, want to save the planet on our own. We can't make enough of a dent for what we're doing to save the planet on our own. Is it the right thing to do? Absolutely. Is there a mathematical justification? Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, something else that adds to the resale side of it, like if it's an insured mortgage, so less than 20% down, if it meets step code, since I think 2018, buyers get 25% of their insurance back. So let's just say, the insurance costs them $10,000. It gets added to the mortgage balance, which obviously that just happens with insured mortgages. The customer will then get $2,500 back. They just apply through CMHC or Sagen, whoever they got their insurance from. So like there are these programs, again, that adds, like if someone's buying your product at Ascent, one, they're getting like awesome efficiency. Their, energy bills are going to be lower. They're getting 25% of their insurance back. They have the extended warranty. They have the price guarantee. It will add value in multiple ways, so.
Yeah, the way you said that, like, I don't know who wouldn't want to buy an Ascent.
I know. I'm taking Matt's job soon. Yeah.
For sure.
How many units are left, Scott? Is there quite a few left just for sale?
Yeah, about 50.
Okay, nice.
When we've had developers on in the past, what I like about speaking to you guys, a little bit of envy. Obviously, I would love to be a developer. It sounds like there's zero stress and just tons of fun. But like pulling back the curtain and actually learning about developers and learning like what they're passionate about. And like, it seems like the ones that are successful, like to go full circle to back to, hey, how have you been able to sustain profitability, is just doing what's right, and especially in this time in the market, like when people are buying pre-construction, it's really tough now just to go in blind. Like, 5 years ago, yeah, you were lucky to get anything under contract. As soon as something hit the market, it was sold out. Now people have their choice to kind of walk around and suss it out. And it's not just all about the location and, the quartz, tile, hardwood, whatever. It's like, hey, who's actually behind this? And, are we going to be stuck with, a lemon in 5 years from now? Or are we with someone that like wants to produce something well? So I love what you're doing. I guess to kind of wrap up a bit of the show, like what's next in the next 5 years for you at Highstreet? And like, maybe can you give us some predictions in terms of like BC real estate, Kelowna real estate? Obviously we know you think the market's going to go up, but do you think there's going to be still purpose-built rentals, condo stratified units, single family homes? Like what's an asset class that you think is kind of maybe overlooked in the last little bit?
Oh man, I'm trying to figure that out myself. I don't know if there is an overlooked asset class right now in BC. Every developer's trying to figure out what to do. It's funny, despite the price guarantee, I don't know how bullish I am on the future. I just know that we're willing to cut a check if it goes south. So here's part of the thought process, and I don't know how many buyers are going to hear this, but if it takes a $20,000 drop today to get somebody to buy, I'd rather pay that $20,000 in 5 years than today. We don't want to discount for the people who've already bought, right? So that's the other thing. It's like we want to sell, we want to sell the last 50 there in the first phase. And to do that, if this helps get them sold, if the only other alternative is to drop price and then everybody else is going to suffer from that, I don't want to do that. So we're doing everything we can to maintain value for everybody who's already bought. And like I say, if that means 5 years from now, which seems like a good bet, but it's still a bet. I could still be wrong, but there's reasons to do it that I think makes sense rather than trying to force it in a market that's tough. So
that is a really good point, because when you do see certain projects go out in phases, and phase one, you're generally thinking, hey, if I get in here early, like I'm at the bottom and the developer is going to slowly increase the price. We have seen it, like just, in Kelowna, where phase two, phase three has come out, it sat there, and then all of a sudden like a big discount comes out. I've thought about it. I'm like, if I was that first buyer, I would be gutted.
It's more than that, Taylor, because like you think about, say there's 3 phases and then phase one sells hot, and then phase two, you lower the price. The rest of the buyers in phase two are like, are they going to lower the price again after I buy? It kind of kills the sense of urgency for everybody when you start doing that.
Yeah, for sure. So I don't know, like I say, it's a calculated bet.
Yeah, like Highstreet, are you guys get back up to 800 homes? Do you want to continue to build in Kelowna?
Yeah, good question.
Back to Alberta. I know you got Vancouver Island in the portfolio. Yeah, is there anything exciting to you right now that's going on?
Oh, there's a big opportunity for us in the Lower Mainland. Like we haven't done anything on the Lower Mainland. And, if you think about size of market, it's a huge area. And so anywhere from, Chilliwack to White Rock to Langford or Port Moody, or there's a ton of areas that we can go into there. And we've made our 20-year history out of staying in secondary markets outside of the Lower Mainland. And in Alberta, you really only have Calgary and Edmonton left. And we can't make the math work in Edmonton right now. And Calgary's in one of its cyclical downturns. But that happens. Like they get an upturn for 6 months and then a downturn for 8 years. It's a tough market.
I love how transparent you are, man.
Oh, yeah. Right now, oil's riding high.
Yeah, it is. It could go higher too.
Yeah, maybe Alberta's going to be back. That's a depressing topic. Anyway, so you got like 2 major markets. We played in some of the smaller markets years ago, and we wouldn't go back. Like Grand Prairie, Fort McMurray, Red Deer.
Yeah.
We tried a bunch of them, and man, they can be cyclical. We don't want to go back there.
What about Kelowna? Like, obviously right now it's tough in Kelowna, but
we're trying to just dabble in Kelowna right now. Like, we got to finish off the land that we already have, but we're not eager to go after more land in the central Okanagan right now. We have an obligation to keep our teams busy. That's one of the things that I didn't mention, but years ago we decided to have overlapping projects in a given geographic region so that we can keep that team going and they can, go home to their families or friends or whatever they want to do. Maybe they're part of a sports team. They can count on being in that area long term and not travel around. So yeah, we feel obligated to keep that alive, but it's like dabbling in it now. After we've finished Ascent, we've got a 39 home townhome project up on the hill there. We bought a little parcel in Peachland. We're doing a little 5-story 89 home rental building.
Yeah.
Like, that's little for Highstreet. So we're trying to pick apart like just little niches in the market that we can keep the teams busy while this slowdown happens, because I think it is going to be a few years in Kelowna. Like, it's a good 2-3 years to get through the current inventory, not necessarily on the single family home side, and I'm not as familiar with the townhome side, but certainly anything that's rental apartment or condo, that's a good backlog. Although I did read, the other day, if Kelowna can get out of the Airbnb requirements, there's something like 2,200 condos that applied to convert to Airbnb. That would kill the hotel industry. If you're thinking about doing a hotel in Kelowna, all of a sudden that seems like a bad idea, but yeah.
Well, stay tuned. We are having Dina Steele back on, who is from Keys to Kelowna. So we're going to chat Airbnb here pretty shortly in the next couple of weeks. Actually, one of the previous guests we had on, Brett Wilson, he mentioned you among some others, like Matt said, but he was like, yeah, I've got 70 acres on ALR here. Like, I would just give it to my friend Scott Butler and we would develop something. So yeah, you've had a couple shout outs for sure.
I'll credit a good friend, Chris Wills, for that connection to Brett.
Yeah.
We met years ago and we started talking about different things and different sites. And we were talking about developing that one he's got on Harvey there. And that was too big for us. We weren't about to get into doing towers, and the timing's off on it anyway. But great guy.
That's funny. Chris Wills gave me shit for when Brett mentioned you on our podcast and I didn't put this link together. So there you go, Chris. Your name dropped now. Yeah.
Perfect. I'm glad Chris gets the shout out.
Yeah. If Chris has listened to the whole 40 minutes of the show. But,
yeah. I'll tell him he's got to wait till the end.
Yeah.
For his shout out. Yeah.
For his little Easter egg.
One last question to finish. I know in your notes, you also are coaching hockey. Would you be available to come coach Matt and I's team?
So I put that out. That's not me coaching hockey. I coached a lot of basketball. I didn't coach hockey. I was just suggesting that our schedule allows our team members to coach hockey if they so desire. Do not ask me to coach hockey. And I max out in about grade 8 for basketball. So
yeah, I got cut in grade 10. So loved having you on the show. It was worth the wait. And yeah, I appreciate what you're doing with the projects. They just seem like great projects. So thanks, Scott. Appreciate it.
Thanks all, guys. Take care. Have a great day.
Thank you.